If you're carrying a lot and performing fine and privately wondering well, why you can't fully exhale, you've come to the right place. Today's conversation is going to land in the body, not just your mind. So, welcome back to the Awakening Potential Show. This is a space where ordinary softens and extraordinary is allowed to emerge. I'm your host, Karen Rudolph, and this is a show for visionary leaders who carry a lot, learn a lot, and quietly know there's so much more than doing, more about remembering. So here we talk about awakening as a concept, rather as a lived experience, and those through our stories, our embodied wisdom, and conversations where real life actually meets. This is where your sassy confidence meets classy wisdom and your bold badassy brilliance gets expressed without apology. So take a deep breath. And I would love to be welcoming by all of you, if you would welcome. I'm honored to share this space with someone who really reflects the journey of a lot of years in working. My guest, Frank, excuse me, Agin. He's the president and founder of AmSpirit Business Connections. He's all about professional relationships, business networking, and ideas for generating referrals. As a retired attorney and author of so far 21 books, I'd like to make a warm welcome. Frank, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me on Awakening Potential. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Through our conversations, I've learned accounting. That was a new one that I just heard. Were you an accountant or an account?
I went to law school. I went to law school, and that led me to an accounting firm to be a tax consultant.
Okay, so I wasn't clear on that. So thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
That's I mean, I'm not ashamed of that part of my life, but
No.
as my dad said it, I can't understand why you ever did that. It's so not you. So,
When you were a child, was math your thing?
well, it wasn't so much math wasn't my thing, but a more right brain creative. And the accounting world is very left brain. Um, even the law is very left brain. It's very mechanical. And I can do the stuff. I just don't enjoy it as much as being creative. So, yeah.
I get that. So as a child, what was your defining moment that impacted who you've become today?
Whew. I think there's lots of different types of defining moments that are out there. And, for me, it's, I was telling somebody today that it's like they were asking me about college and my college experience and what I took away from my college experience. And, what I told them was, you, I didn't appreciate it in the moment, right? You find these things out afterwards. And, you know, and so you know, it's, it's not until later, that you really can appreciate, okay, that was pivotal for me,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And I think there are lots of things along the way that were kind of pivotal. I certainly think a defining moment for me, and there are lots, is really kind of discovering this networking thing. And I know
Mm,
that sounds really funny, but my father was a college professor, my mom was an educator, and my grandparents, my grandfather worked for the Chicago Transit Authority. And so the whole notion of relationships and relationships stick, okay, you had a relationship to get you a job and maybe get you good out, but you're not working relationships all the time and how important relationships are. And so
mm,
that, for me was a defining moment and really looking at everything through a different lens,
mm.
as to, well, why people do the things that they do. So I guess that would be my answer. So,
So I'm curious then, Frank, what led you? I mean, obviously you had a long career in becoming an attorney and starting a business and growing a family, I'm sure, and such. Like, what got you into the networking aspect of it?
Yeah, well, it was survival, I guess. I started my career in public accounting. I was in a firm for 6 years, and by all accounts, I was successful, um, and could have continued on. I wasn't happy though. And so after 6 years, I decided to leave and go into private practice. I really didn't know what my next step would be, but I just figured the private practice of law would be a good next step, and I could meet some people and make some money and try and figure it out. When I started in the private practice of law, I tell people that a funny thing happened, and the funny thing was nothing happened. I had no idea how to get clients because they don't teach you that in school.
Really?
It's not something I talked about with my parents because we didn't talk about those things.
Ex-
And we talked science things, talked math things, and so I struggled to get clients as this attorney. And I was having a conversation one day with a friend who took a different path out of law school and had started her own firm and was was doing well, certainly better than I was doing. And I just said, how do I get what you got? How can I build something that you have? And she said, why don't you get into a tips club or a leads group? And I really had no idea what she was talking about. But through a couple introductions, I found myself in a networking meeting. Um, you know, there are groups out there, get together every week, learn about each other, and exchange referrals. And it made total sense to me, Karen, that I could lift my whole world up just helping other people become more successful.
Oh, I love that. I don't
Yeah,
want to skip over that because the word help jumped out at me,
yeah.
right? Because you weren't making it about yourself in that moment. You were making it about others. And as a result of that, what happens when you
Well,
make
then
it about
they
others?
reciprocate. They want to reciprocate,
Okay. Yeah.
and that's human nature, and when you really start to look into it, it's like, okay, that's how we're hardwired. It's not, there's nothing magical about it. It's um, magical, Karen, is doing it, being selfish and having something great happen. That's magic. Helping other people and having it come back to you, that's not magic. That's how
Miracle.
humans are built, right? That's how we're
Exactly.
hardwired. Um,
Exactly. I love that.
yeah, so I was in this group and I was doing really well. Um, I mean, I took to it like a fish to water. It's like it's so easy to help other people. It's so easy to promote other people. Self promote for 5 minutes, and I want to take a nap. And so it was. So really was attracted to it. It was just all resonated with me. And so whenever you're passionate about something, this, when you just tend to do well with it. And once I started doing well with it, um, I started doing more of it and doing better and better. At one point, had an opportunity. Then I was very involved in the organization. Had an opportunity to become its first franchisee, which led me then to have an opportunity to buy it out. And we're going back 25 years now. And I
Yeah.
just decided I was going to stop practicing the law. Not that it was a bad career. It was okay, right? I wasn't miserable at all. I was doing well, but I just felt that I really needed to lean into this networking thing and become what I call a student of networking and understanding why it works and why it doesn't work.
I love that. I love that. And you sound very, we've spoken prior, and you sound like this has become your passion. Is this what's bringing you joy now?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. It's funny. I'm 64 years old. I'm proud to say that. Um, I'm replacing the furnace at my office, right? And they offered me, we could do this, and there's a 1 year warranty, or we could do this, and there's a 10-year warranty. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going for the 10-year warranty. I'm going to work another 10 years. I'm going to see
Exactly.
that warranty through. Now, God has his own plan and health and all those things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but um, at this point, it's not about money. It's really about just helping other people and seeing where it goes.
What I love about being, I call it a servant leader. And what I love about being a servant leader, which I'm hearing in essence you are as well, um, givers gain. And there, it brings me joy to be of service to others. Are you experiencing the same thing? Because I know, I shared with you earlier, I just got back from a networking event in LA. I didn't know a soul there, but I couldn't wait to be of service to them. And it wasn't like I felt like I was pushing myself on anything or anyone. And I just found so much joy, and the connections I made were off the chart.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, well, I just I have a podcast, Networking RX. Karen was just on it. We'll release in a few weeks, but anyhow, so I have a podcast, and I just recorded an episode about a study they did. It was done at Northern Illinois University, and what they did was they had two groups of students. They usually pick on students because they can get students to do things for a pizza. But what they had half the students, they gave them $5 every day to buy themselves a cup of coffee. And the other half, they gave $5 to buy somebody else a cup of coffee. And what they found is that in time, people who got to buy their own cup of coffee, their joy diminished.
Yeah.
The people who were giving a cup of coffee away, the joy never went away. It never went away. And so with the researchers, they kind of explained it in the study, and they said the reason for this is that when we're doing things for ourselves, it's for ourselves, right? And the hedonic principles of, we just kind of level out. It's like, oh, well, free cup of coffee every day. It's Tuesday again. But when we're doing something for other people, it becomes something where we're not we're giving to others and connecting and when you're doing something for yourself it's just for yourself, but when you're doing something for others it's connecting, but we're hardwired to give, and that helps bolster our identity, right? I'm a giver. I give a cup of coffee every day. And so it just really underscores the whole notion that you that's a BNI term, givers gain.
Give it
And it's, and a lot of times people hear that givers gain, or, you give to get. And they think, well, I give a referral, I should get one back. I give in business, I should give back. It's like, no, givers gain, and you gain in the moment. You gain,
yeah.
yes, something might come back to you, but if it doesn't, you've gained in the moment. And I think people lose sight of that. I've
Yeah.
lost sight of it from time to time.
Yeah. Actually, giver's gain is a biblical concept.
Okay.
And there's a book called Giver's Gain out there, which is a wonderful book. And it's all about when you give, you might not get it in that immediate moment, but it'll come back to you tenfold later on. And
Yeah.
it's just such a powerful book. And I also was a part of BNI at one point. So I remember that being one of their philosophies as
Yeah.
well. Again, a lot of it is very spiritually based because we're giving from the heart space rather than what's in it for me from the head space. So I really, it's just fabulous stuff. And, relationships, we perish, so, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's a great place. So, what is your biggest learning lesson that you've learned thus far after stepping out of your business and restarting this one, which you're going to be doing for many, many years, I'm clear.
Yeah.
What is the biggest takeaway that you've learned thus far for our awakening potential audience? Because that was a download for me, and the spirit of awakening potential is all about through our stories, through our shares, we're giving to others to see something reflected within our stories that will inspire them to step from ordinary into extraordinary. And I believe we're all extraordinary, but until somebody believes it within themselves, yeah.
Yeah.
What would that
My biggest takeaway, it, just being patient. That, growing up, high school's 4 years, college is 4 years. I'm going to go on to law school. That's how there are many years. You think it's this life is this cadence of, well, this happens at this part, and right, you're a millionaire by this part, and you're married, you have kids, and this schedule. And the biggest takeaway is that, well, there really is no schedule. You know, um, Colonel Sanders started Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was 65 years old. and there's lots of stories like that. And, people who, don't write their first book until they're this or that. And it's just everything happens on its own path. And you can't look around at other people and say, oh, oh, woe is me. Why am I not where they're at? Or conversely, kind of, you know, looking down your nose at somebody because they're not what they should be. Well, we're all on our own journeys, and it's gonna take its time, and um, life a lot of times is certainly in networking. It's kind of like our GPSs, right? You're traveling somewhere, and there's an accident up ahead, or the road is closed, and it's just like in life, you're headed down a path, and it something doesn't work out. Well, you just have to reroute. That's all. You're going to get to where you're going.
Exactly.
You just have to reroute. And I was asking my wife the other day, there's a little bar down the street from our house, and it's about a mile away as the crow flies. And I said, how would you drive there? And she gave me the way to drive. I would drive that way too. But how many different ways are there for us to get there? And so we started talking about it. I said, yeah, there's like 16 different ways without having to backtrack, and she said, well, what are you getting at? I'm like, well, that's what networking is. That's what business is. It's just not everything's going to work.
Exactly.
The path you want to take might not be there, but it doesn't mean that opportunity is not there for you. It just means that not the path you're going to have to take. You've got to reroute. So I guess that's a long-winded, what I've really learned about this.
No, it's all perfect. So, Frank, what would you consider your superpower?
Um, Connecting people. Yeah,
Uh,
it's definitely connecting people. I sit and I talk to people, and my mind goes immediately to who do I know who can help this person? Be a client, be a good introduction, buy their book, get them on a podcast.
uh,
Um, or who can this person help? So one of those two things, I try to look at life through those lenses. Um,
love it.
and it doesn't always work out. Sometimes I'm stumped. Sometimes it's like, geez, Karen, I really can't figure this out. I'm not saying that, but I'm thinking, um, and I step back from the problem, and my brain solves it. And I mean, the reality is we all
Right.
we all have the ability to help somebody else, maybe not
Mhm.
directly, but indirectly. And we need to act upon that. And I just have developed a knack for doing a good job of that.
And you do it well. And as a matter of fact, that's pretty much how you and I met through a common friend of both of ours, Michelle. Right? You reached out because you have 21 books and you want to create a movie out of them.
Yeah.
And she knew that I'm in the movie, The Art of Manifestation, coming up next month. And she connected us as
Yeah.
an executive producer to attempt to see what's possible for you. I'm still in that conversation. Um, and so here we are connected. I mean, you never know what's going to come out of a single conversation or how people are going to end up connected or
Yeah.
what's sparked that connection. So all, I know you have a gift for the listening audience. What was it you wanted to inspire them with?
Yeah, I one of the books I wrote is called The Giving Journal, and just a quick little backstory on the book is there was a time probably 15 years ago where I was talking to somebody, Karen, and they were just talking about how giving they were, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, you think you're giving? You're the most selfish person I know. I wasn't saying this, but I'm thinking about it. But in their
Right.
mind, they were hung up on something they had done for somebody 3 months earlier. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's one thing, but you're not really a giver. And I didn't say anything to them. It's just kind of what I was thinking about them. But as I was kind of reflecting on that, I'm like, well, wait a minute here. If they're delusional, maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I'm not as generous as I think I am. And so what I did was like, I'm going to test this. So I
Mhm.
pulled out a notebook, a journal, right? And I just started to keep track of when I did things for other people. I wasn't keeping score. I wasn't, okay, I did this for Karen. She owes me. It was just, you know what? I made this introduction for Karen. I
Hmm.
volunteered on this board. I did this, and I just started putting the date down and the things that I did. And so what I found was is that journal would call to me. Hey, you didn't do anything today. I could see it, right? It was just you didn't do anything today. And so what it inspired me to do to was to kind of have this mindset. Okay, how can I help people? Who should I be connecting this person with? What value can I add to their life? Do they have something I need to buy? Um, and you know, and that really was a turning point for me. When I realized that, that's when I said, you know, I'm going to write this book and talk about this little experience called the Giving Journal. So I explained that all in the Giving Journal. Um, it's the link I've given you allows people to. There's a short video that I talk about how it came about, but they can download it for free. And when I say free, I'm not gathering email addresses. Just click a link and download it. If you got it, great. If you know, I'll never know, right? I'll never know.
Hmm.
So it's totally free. It's so probably an hour read.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And for the listening audience, I just want to remind you that all of Frank's contact information will be in the show notes. So definitely reach out to him if this has inspired you today. Definitely, I'm sure he will be the one to reach out and respond to you as well. And tell him what you thought of his journal. So. Frank, before we leave, I always ask, what is the one pearl of wisdom? I call them pearls of wisdom. What's that one little nugget that you would like to leave the listening audience with?
Yeah, I get this question all the time, and I have a pretty consistent answer. Um, Find something you're passionate about, and go find somewhere to volunteer.
Mm.
Just get out of your world, go do something for somebody else. You're going to be surrounded by other people who care about the same thing you care about. There will be people who will be looking on who might not care that you care about pets or whatever, but be totally taken by the notion that you're committed to something. And
Ab-
that's my suggestion.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, very much. And what I get from that is a little tag on as well is try it. You don't know what you don't know until you try something. So, you know, find something you're passionate about, and if it doesn't work, try something else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, Frank, it has been such a pleasure having you here on the Awakening Potential show. Thank you for your honesty, your heart, and your willingness to share your journey with us.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure. And I just want to remind again the listening audience, the bridge from ordinary to extraordinary is built with small steps of change and big leaps of faith. So you're more powerful than you know. Keep rising, keep showing up, and keep awakening your potential because you're worth it. Until next time, make it an amazing day and bye for now.